My question, Kerry, is about the healthcare reform that we have going on. Now, earlier in the show, while we were waiting for you, I brought this up to Joe, and I brought this up to him the other day. Um, do you think they are postponing the healthcare quote reform for right now because the government knows of something that is going to be happening here shortly, and they just really want to put it off so that they don't have to deal with people saying, "You just passed this healthcare reform bill. Like, we need our stuff. We want our healthcare right now."
Well, that's a little more, in my view, is a little more complex than that. I'll tell you why. Within that healthcare reform bill, unfortunately, is basically something that will take away the rights of Americans and make you subject, even more so, to to the surveillance and to echelon and so on and so forth. Simply because what it means is, they're basically talking about mandatory, in a sense, what is in essence mandatory health care, under which you have to submit yourself to a doctor, to certain kinds of tests and so on, and to have your medical records, as part of a large database and so on and so forth. And it's a perfect opportunity, obviously, for them to chip you as well, which is what the vaccination program is all about.
Yeah.
So there's a very negative side, I'm afraid, to sort of universal health care, whatever you want to call that. So I know that there are white hats in the government working against having that put into place. Now, on top of it, this question about whether or not they don't see it as so crucial right this minute, simply because there are some things coming possibly down the pike, even this year, here into 2010, make having such a program very expensive under the circumstances. Yeah, there's that side as well, because we have had testimony, obviously, that there are planted, like suitcase nukes around in cities around the U.S. that could be activated at any time. There are certainly plans that the Illuminati have to eliminate portions of the population. Whether they're going to be successful with that, whether they can carry that off, I don't know. Certainly, Earth changes are supposed to happen in the next few years as a result of many things, and that's a whole nother subject in terms of why and what's going to cause those things. But the weather wars are being orchestrated by the Illuminati, by factions of the Illuminati in various governments.
The weather wars?
And ETs, yeah. And that's more so what's going on behind the scenes. And therefore, if you have, let's say, a major earthquake somewhere, it's very likely targeted by a scalar weapon of some kind from some government. And also, it's possible, from what I understand in talking to Laura Knight Jetzik, that there are even sort of incidents that are a result of openings and the reptilians and the grays getting involved from the fourth dimension, causing certain incidents as well. So because there is a war going on, there's a space war, if you will, going on, and this is very hidden information. This is stuff that we haven't even gotten a whole lot of testimony about. Although I personally met with the man who has since been basically killed, I'm pretty sure, who had been filming the war that was going on here in the Los Angeles area. What he did is he set up a camera on his deck and he let it run. And he had a house with a view. And he just let it run all night long, night after night. and he was getting some amazing stuff on film. And he had videotapes, and he also had a well-known website. I guess there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to say who it is now. I just am concerned for his family and so on and so forth. But
right.
I guess I'll think about whether or not to ever say, now that he's died. And I was very shocked to find out he died. He was rear-ended in his car. His house was targeted. All the rest of the houses around him were fine. But they hit it with...
Oh my God. We lost her.
Okay. Let's see if we can get her back on the line.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, is this Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, now you see what happens whenever I talk about something important, right?
I've been watching on the internet your testimonies and everything since... I'm thinking back in 2006. Were you guys doing this in 2006 or?
Yeah.
Okay. So from like the beginning when you started on the internet, and I've seen this all happening with you guys, but it hasn't happened to me on my own radio show, so it's funny to me. Just add Kerry, see what happens.
It happens to me almost all the time. I mean, really all the time. Even on my own, I have a radio show.
Uh-huh.
On my own show, whenever we get to a really interesting topic,
right?
That's what happens. And so to continue my story, regardless, it just means usually what it means is they take you down and then they put you back up, but they have added surveillance, some added whatever it is. And on the other hand, maybe they just play games. Maybe they just do it on purpose. My understanding or what I think happens is they just add a certain level of surveillance onto the whatever call I'm on. But at any rate, so we could just assume that we have a greater audience than we did before.
Oh, goody.
Or a higher security level that we've now breached. No. But this guy, anyway, he was a very, very intelligent man, and he'd actually been a DEA officer. And I know all of this simply because he sat down and told me all of this, and I was dying to get him on Camelot, and I asked him for an interview numerous times, and he wouldn't do it.
I see.
But he did have a wife and a new child, and he became very worried. Like I said, his house was targeted by a scalar weapon. Every house around it was fine. It was burned to the ground.
Wow.
He actually happened to be away at the time, but he lost everything. All his evidence was burned, and that was that, And after that, he did go on his website at one point, and he put up a video that showed, because he continued to film after that regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And he did catch what in essence is a lot like the STS footage where you see, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there's one part of the footage, I think it's called STS-80. And there you actually see Earth, and you see craft going by, and you actually see what is in essence, a shot with a light beam, laser beam, whatever it is, in which our government or someone on the planet is shooting out at this craft. And you see that on film.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a famous piece of film. Anyway, he was able to grab from here, over LA, evidence of that kind of thing, of battles going on. And this is what, of course, the powers that be really don't want